Hello, welcome to the queue. We've got the 6th YouTube Wars game of 2020, only this is the first YouTube War game using the BBR4 rule set. Now, it's not set in stone, so we're just playtesting some options here. Maybe some of them make it, maybe none of them do, who knows? But for right now, this is a play test of the BBR4 rules. And you can see there's a lot of markers out there. So let's talk about Germany and France first. There is a Vichy France rule, and that rule is that if Germany manages to take all 3 French territories on turn 1, then the Vichy French fleet here, basically you replace those with German ships. So they're going to switch to German to represent the Vichy fleet. To make it a little harder, the infantry here from Morocco and Algeria have been moved up, one to southern France, one to Normandy. So we can take those off. So in essence, really, and sometimes people do that anyway, take all 3 territories, Germany does. It can be hard. It's a little harder now that you've got, that extra infantry, on each of those territories. But the bonus would be a cruiser and a destroyer in the mid in the German favor. Now, they may not last. The British may try and attack those, although I guess it depends what's left on the first turn, what they can do. But they certainly can hit that and get that out of the way. So it may all be for naught, but we'll see. Since this is a play test, that's how we're going to play Germany first turn, is that they are going to take France, and then we will see from there. The other German change here is that it used to be 53 IPCs would activate Argentina and Chile as pro-access. So that's going to change. It's going to go up to 56, and then that activates Chile as pro-access, but it activates Argentina as German. So they're actually coming to the game as a German. There's a transport there. Now, I think in the video that Joe put on the chat, there was a destroyer there as well. But when Sire typed up for the game what's where, he only had this transport. So if we could get a clarification on what's actually there. This NO, if Argentina and Chile become Axis or pro-Axis, $5 NO for the rest of the game. That NO is gone. So that's it for the German and French changes. The other thing too, I think, these 2 French infantry also disappear. Syria is unchanged. The destroyer is unchanged, and then the units in London are also unchanged. So the only real effect is 2 ships will flip to German, and then 2 infantry in Africa are removed from the board. The next big change is there's no more Canada. There is the Commonwealth. Well, look at that glare. That was terrible. All right, the Commonwealth will be Canada and Anzac combined with a starting income of 13, which is less than the 2 previous. If you combine them together, they would have been at 17. But there's some different options for them. They do have an extra factory now. South Africa will be the Commonwealth and not UK. So these 2 British units will go up to Egypt, and then the 2 Commonwealth that were there will come down here. So that's what that setup start looks like. The destroyer will remain British, and then there's 2 extra guys there in Egypt, which kind of actually helps Britain on the attack up there, because sometimes they can, you can't multinational force attack, but now you've got the Commonwealth gets troops and whatnot, defensive help up to Egypt. And a lot of times what happens, in that game, BBR game, is they take out that and there's a couple of German subs there, and then for a couple turns, Canada can't do anything because whatever they place there gets destroyed, by those subs. So now they have the option of placing in Canada, South Africa, and then of course here in Sydney. So they've got 3 factories across the board, and they can place anywhere. There's no restrictions. Now, some of the adjustments to the NOs, the Allies control Malaya and all their territories, which I believe also includes no access units in any of the Dutch islands. It is a 3 NO. There's a new NO if any Commonwealth units are on any Atlantic Wall territory, and that would be Normandy, Belgium, Denmark, and Norway. Then that's a 3 NO. So the Canada NO is gone because there's no Canada. And then they've taken away the 5, to the best of my knowledge, for having these islands and Dutch. So that is gone, and I didn't see it, that it was mentioned that it was gone, but it's not listed. So we'll assume that's gone. It may actually not be, but that's my assumption right now. The other change on this side of the board is Siam is no longer Japanese. It is, I keep putting my finger in front of the lens, pro-axis. So it starts with 4 infantry. It's pro-axis, and it is now worth 2. And I will get to some of the other territory changes here in a second. So that's worth 2. So Japan actually loses that 1 point to make up for it. So their starting income is the same. The Carolina Islands is now worth 1. So that's the difference for Japan. We have the Commonwealth that starts at 13. And the other changes are IPC values, with the exception, here's another one. This is a pro-axis territory. 2 units, standing army. It's worth 1 now. So when Britain takes it, it's, usually it's been worth 0. So that'll be worth 1 now. So we give Britain a point there. In the Med, we'll start with some of these point changes on the territories. We've got 2 points added for Britain and 2 points added for Italy. And Italy is Tobruk and Sicily. And so their starting income is now 12. Sicily is a walk-on to southern Italy now. So you don't need transports to go from one to the other. So if you land all your stuff on Sicily, you lose your navy, then they can walk on to Rome if possible, but it seems unlikely, but it could happen. Britain in the Med, Gibraltar is now worth 1, and El Alamein is worth 1. So each go up 2 there. Britain's, though, is offset by losing the South Africa at 2. And let me look around the board. There are some changes on the Pacific side. I'll get to that. New Zealand drops down to 0. We talked about Carolinas at 1, and Western Canada goes to 0. So sliding over, we've got Manitoba going to 0, Ontario dropping to 1, Nova Scotia dropping to 0, and that should be it for the adjustments. I'm scanning, and that is it. So we're going to get the game underway here shortly, but that is just a quick overview, to the best of my knowledge, of the changes for BBR4.